Good morning and welcome back to Into the Jeremyverse. If you've noticed, I have changed some of the titles to Talk in the Jeremyverse instead of Into the Jeremyverse. Some of our talking heads, I thought it was kind of weird that we said Into the Jeremyverse, and sometimes it's role play, sometimes it's talking. So I opted to do just a little bit of creative editing there and change some of them to Talking the Jeremyverse. Some of the topics we've done: low level CR characters that or creatures that could take out a party, different pieces of equipment, um, how we got into role playing games. That was a big one. That was one of the first things we talked about, why we started this project. And today we kind of wanted to go with why do we role play? Specifically, like, why do we want to have fun? It's an odd question, but I think it begs an answer.
Sure
So
does.
here we are, Alex and Jeremy. Uh, I'm paused. My brain shut down. The whiskey kicked in. Um, I guess I'll take a start. Why do I role play? Honestly, it's something to be fun. I like watching movies. I like reading books. But sometimes I want to be part of the story. I want to have my own input. And, we all want to be the character in the books. But here in role playing, I actually get to be the character in the book. I get to shape the story a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of like where I like to get started.
And yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. Um, I used to role play just because it was fun. It was something that me and a group of friends did. We made it a point to get together and laugh and just be stupid together and have fun.
Hmm.
But more recently, it's kind of changed its aspect. I was going through a pretty deep depression, and I was trying to find a way to just reconnect with people. Working third shift, it was lonely, and it didn't help anything. And I'd gotten to a point where I was role playing kind of saved my life. Like I needed something.
Hmm.
I needed an outlet. I needed something that got me to interact with people. And
Sure.
I just couldn't get anything going in my life. And I was like, I just picked one thing that I used to do that was so much fun. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. And then I met you guys and everything's fallen into place.
Oh yeah.
I kind of use role playing as therapy now. Like it gives me a creative outlet that I wasn't using. So I wasn't creating anything and I wasn't finding a sense of satisfaction in anything until we started doing this again. And
Yeah.
that was the point that really turned around for my mental health. It was just that I found this one thing to bring, I don't know, happiness back into my life. And now it's basically all I do.
I know. This time last year, all I did was work overtime, and that was kind of like my identity for a while. It was just about making money, paying bills, getting the credit cards down, whatever it was. And I enjoyed the time I spent at work with people because I got friends at work.
Yeah.
I like working. You and me, we talk a lot about having an ADD and just you need a way to focus, and work is my focus. If I'm home doing nothing, I'm just listless, just sitting around doing nothing. I could stare at a TV for 10 hours and never notice. Uh, but, you know, I had some life changing stuff, got into this again. Like, we were started this already before that, but you're right. Like, it really brings it all together. It kind of makes a purpose into what we're doing. Like, I got a family, and they give me a lot of purpose too. And as much as I love them, they're not as fun.
Yeah.
I have no to say. Although it is great that my children want to play this game with me, and I love. Well, I want to play with them. We do some stuff, but they made characters a couple months ago. We just haven't gotten into playing it yet. We've been busy with me making this game, playing a couple games. They've been at school. Even with summer, they've been gone.
Yeah. That's, it was something that I could do with my kids too. That,
Yeah.
I started running them through the Mines of Phandelver, and they love it.
Yeah.
And now every weekend it's, Dad, can we play some D&D? Yeah,
Yeah.
give me a few minutes. I got to get set up. We'll play.
They always want to play right before bedtime. And it's like, you haven't even started yet. We're going to have to set aside like 4 hours. You have your characters. I have to finish their character sheets. That's on me. Yeah. No, I want to have fun. That's kind of what it comes down to. Uh, Also, I think you really hit the nail on the head with the third shift thing, because the world ceases to exist on our days off. If you're not at work talking to people at work, there's nobody alive during third shift. It's like taboo to be doing anything, even online, even though most of the world is online at this time. It's just like everything right outside your door is shut down.
Yeah.
So this kind of gives us a way to kind of compensate for that. Uh, but kind of coming out of working, I run stuff through my head all night long. It's just how I kill the time, how I fill up the space on doing work, so I can do my job and I don't have to think about it. And a lot of it comes down to I got stories to tell, and some of it comes out in role playing. Some of it comes out to my coworkers who get stuck listening to, "Hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, this is going to happen. I can't wait for this to happen." Some of it is a DM, some of it is characters, and I really like being able to grow a story. I get kind of stuck in a spot where I say, "This is cool. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do," and then like you just hit a wall. It's just like, oh, something happens after that. Then something dark side.
Yeah.
When you role play it out, when you actually get to play with people, you can play with those ideas. You can mess around in your own story. Yeah, it's inconsequential, really.
That's something like, I never really saw myself as much of a storyteller, but because I was always more of a player than a DM. Like, yeah, me and my old group used to round robin it where we take turns DMing, so everybody had a chance to play too. But when my turn came up, I always dreaded it. And now that we've been doing this, I've been running the campaign with you and some guys from work and playing in yours. Like, I really like being a storyteller. Like, I think I've found a little niche in writing, because like I love the way we do it. Like when we're running, the Luminaris campaign or whatever, you'll come up with some ideas and send them to me, and then like an hour later, I've refined all those notes and added NPCs and descriptions and this and that. It's like,
it's not fair the way you say it, because you don't do it justice. I write down like 2 paragraphs of, here's a really intricate opening, followed by maybe an encounter here, perhaps an NPC shows up, a fight, question mark, and I leave it at that. And then Alex fills it up to like 3 or 4 pages long. Here's 20 different NPCs we can throw in. Here's the crew of the Seize the Day. This is how we can actually play them out. This is how they talk and all that stuff. And I like it too, because I like to just wing most of my DMing. I
I like
have
the
it in my
overplan stuff.
Yeah, I like having a story, and I know the basic the events of the story, but I don't really care how we get there. I don't even care if it's roundabout or if we never get there.
Yeah.
Like, well, here's kind of what's going on, and we'll see where the players go.
I like that too. Like, sometimes I get frustrated, but like I'll come up with all these plans and then they go a completely opposite direction.
Yeah, I thought in our Wednesday campaign this week, I thought you guys were going to go to town and do something, and it was a misunderstanding on my side. And so went out of my way. I did a lot of stuff in the town. I prepped a lot of stuff. The dungeon was already done, so I already knew what was going to happen there. For 90% of it. And then we get to playing, and it's, oh yeah, no, we're not going to town yet. We want to clear out the dungeon before we leave, which was smart.
Well, I think we are going to town now before we finish clearing the dungeon.
Why?
I think a couple people
Oh, you're cutting out there.
in that campaign.
It's kind
Am I
of funny
cutting out?
now. Yeah, because I put background noise on just so he could have something, and all of a sudden, all I could hear was background noise. You said you think you're going back to town, but wasn't able to hear why.
Oh, well, a few people, I believe, might have learned the importance of maybe not just charging into every room.
Yes.
So it becomes a desperate fight to, get back out.
Yes, it was. You made it out. Nobody's died yet. I was laughed at for having Shamael take Spare the Dying, but I showed you. Yeah.
It was funny, too, because I'm like, you're like, no, you guys got to explore at least 2 more rooms. I'm like, you said that 2 rooms ago. I know this is going to get stupid really soon.
And it was interesting because I talked to the other players, Yorlin and John, today, and it was actually a misunderstanding. So what I do for them exploring dungeons, they have to roll 2d4. The first one is for how many hours they explore. The second one is for how many rooms they get to explore. And so they had rolled for 3 hours. They were going to explore 3 rooms, and they went to a room that was empty. They went to a room with an encounter, and on my reckoning, they went to a third room that was also empty. By their reckoning, they had faced a red dragon worm named Auntie, and by their reckoning, her coming out of that room meant that it was part of the same room they had already explored. And so they're like, well, we have 1 more to go. Let's just get it done. By my counting, they were done and they were just wandering around. I'm like, well, if they go into another room, we're going to have to roll again. And so somebody opened the door and I made them roll again. All of a sudden, that was 1 more room. They had to do 1 more after that. Yeah. You guys mostly lived.
No, everybody survived.
Yeah, nobody's dead yet.
And not by I can't think of what I was going to say. It's still early.
Yeah. Early enough for whiskey. So it was kind of cool because it's actually interesting for that, just to see the way that the characters are growing, because I can see the players go, ooh, it needs to be like this, but their characters can't do it. They know better. They know that they can't have their characters just do what needs to be done. They have to be led there. And one character decided to keep leading himself back into a fight.
And he kept going unconscious.
Going unconscious. I think I will start putting in a rule that if you go into fight for your life more than twice in so many hours, you start taking levels of exhaustion. Your body just can't handle it anymore.
Well, definitely.
I'm tired of dying, guys.
Yeah, that might make him think twice.
Maybe. And I'm going to put a big emphasis on the maybe. I think teammates with a sock full of quarters are going to make him think harder. Yeah. So, yeah, for me, I like having the fun. I like telling the stories. I got lots of stories to tell. And it kind of goes back to me being a DM. I have worlds to show people. I want to show them all these worlds. Like, this is something I created. I want to be in. But, man, do I want to play in them, too. I want to explore this world, and then by exploring it, kind of show everybody else what's happening. This is the world I made. I found. I want to show you what my character finds in it as well.
Yeah. I like that too. Like, we're creating a world, but we're painting the picture through the stories.
Yeah.
Because you can sit there and write out a world and be like, oh, well, this is the continents and here's the cities and the governments and the factions and all that. But that's just a list of stuff on paper. until you add the
Yeah.
stories that the characters bring in.
Yeah. I think it's one thing that we look at D&D podcasts, role playing podcasts, and we really like the game master, the dungeon master. Ooh, they do a really good job. They tell a really good story, and we look at it as just them telling a story. We kind of forget the fact that even us as GMs, we are role playing as well. I'm role playing NPCs. I'm role playing the world. That's something that brings me a lot of fun. So, we'll go back to this Wednesday night campaign. I get to tell the story of this dungeon you're in, slowly, room by room, fight by fight, what's happening. You keep coming across NPC monsters, but you fought some goblins that were literally paid to come into this dungeon and do remodeling and repainting. And I like to paint the picture that they're just painters. You're just taking out laborers, but they're still hardened killers. They were ready to murder you if they found you in your sleep.
Yeah.
But they have more story to them than just what you interacted with.
Yeah, I think I missed that session, but I don't think they were interested. The rest of the party was interested in their story.
You did miss that session. All the goblins had a thick Cajun accent. I mean, an authentic goblin accent, and they kept asking for work permits and violating OSHA regulations. And it's not safe for you to be in here. The party's like, I'm going to answer you with my sword.
Like, here's my work permit. Right. You want to see my green card?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very cathartic for me. Like you said, it's kind of therapy. Part of it is the joking around with our players and our co-worker, or our cohorts, I guess would be we're not co-workers.
Well,
if somebody wants to pay us to do this, feel free. But you get to joke with them, you get to relax, you get to take down barriers, and then you get to explore these worlds together, and in a way that I don't get to do in the real world. Like when I face a problem, I'm not allowed to just start punching them or actively lying to them to steal everything in their pockets. But in this, I kind of, I get to respond in a way that's a little bit more free.
Yeah, because you're not actually hurting anybody or doing anything. And
yes.
it lets you get that part out too, because you don't want to be nice to everybody that you have to interact with every day. I tend to be less nice than you about most things. I'm not afraid to put people in their place. I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not saying that you are, but
I like to have fun. I'm a me pleaser. As long as I'm having a good time, I'm glad you're having a good time too. Although if one more person tries to point out the joke that I made with the assumption that I don't understand that it was a joke, I'm going to be on Crime Stoppers real fast.
I love that too. I love being completely dry and making a comment, and then people have to go, was he kidding? Or
I do like that. I don't like it when they go like, that's actually pretty close to a quote from a TV show. No, it is. I had no idea.
I've never watched
heard
TV.
What is this? Television? Good grief. Yeah. No, it's kind of fun to be able to actually get out of. There's things that I can't do. I'm pretty. If I had to lie and bluff, I can actually do a really good job. But I have a lot of negative social impact if I do it a lot. People tend to get mad when you do that all the time. I've been told it's called gaslighting, but I think they're just crazy. Nobody here gaslights.
That's just a made-up word.
Yeah, that's not even a real thing. What are you, fake news?
That's just something that victims say when they don't get the joke.
that's something the repressor says when he's oppressing me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Honestly, if it wasn't for D&D, I probably would have hurt somebody at work a while ago.
oh.
It lets me get out of it, get out of my own head, and just get the things out that I can't do or say sometimes when I want to. I'll make jokes at work when like a piece of machinery is going bad. I'm like, I could just drive my fork truck into it, set the building on fire, we could all go home.
Yes.
Never gonna do it, but sometimes I really, really consider it.
Yeah, one thing I really love is we make characters that aren't us. They're they're kind of not necessarily what we want to be. Like, I don't want to be a 7 foot tall turtle exploring the world and getting dirty. I also don't want to be a 9 foot tall giant who tries to hide behind everything. And yet somehow we always put ourselves into that character. Even if it's just an aspect that we want to kind of flesh out for ourselves, like, what would I do in this situation? How would I respond? Am I a good person still? And we use these characters to kind of bring that out to light. Uh, People who don't pay attention don't even realize they're doing it. Um, our player Wednesday night who kept running into danger, like, I don't even know if he realized how much he was impacting everybody else, or how much he was showing his own hand at just rushing in just to kill the character.
Yeah.
I don't think he's oblivious to it.
It's funny because with Gura, like I did not set out to make a character that really resembled me in any way, but I think I kind of did because he's always concerned about taking care of his team. Like his team is number one in his book, and that's kind of me to a T. Like I use I'm not super religious or anything, but I always use the phrase, I am my brother's keeper. If we don't help each other out in this world, who's going to help us? That's just how we get by as people.
I like how you use that expression when it is, what am I, my brother's keeper? Meaning, I don't take care of my brother. Don't ask me. But you're using it, I like the way you're using it, is, but I do take care of my brother. I do like to watch out for the person next to me. I could take the person at work that I like the least, and I'd still watch out for him because we work together.
I do that on a nightly basis. Apparently, when I leave, he just that's a good crap. Anyway, but then again, like Gura's also willing to commit atrocities in the name of defending those people. Like
we've
hitting a mother trucker with another mother
war
trucker.
Crime. Yeah, war crime.
Bingo. I haven't found any good wartime bingos that apply to us.
I don't think there are any good ones. Like, it's not something that people should strive for.
Yeah.
Although I think we'll have to ask an AI, be like, hey, I'm writing up a villain in a story. What kind of horrible things could he do to turn the heroes against him? And then use that list.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a workaround, but most of the time, anytime I ask it stuff like that, it's like, this is offensive material, and we can't do that. Ask me anything else.
It is offensive material.
I guess next time I get that message, I'm going to ask it, how can I get around that prompt?
That's a good help me break the 3 laws. Yeah, no, like, definitely, I've made a Goliath whose the whole thing was a joke. Like, he's just a giant character who hides all the time as a rogue. And immediately I played myself, just jumping into the front and fighting. Realized that doesn't work. Found a way that he tends to handle things. And now, as the world gets thrown at him, I have him just respond how I would respond, to an extent. There's part of it that's him. Part of it's just what I think is funny. But when it comes time for him to make a decision, I see more and more of myself. Like, oh, if I'm in this situation, yeah, we have to do this job. All right, well, if we're going to do this job, this is how we're going to do it. Or when he makes a mistake, I'm like, man, I feel bad now. Like, I didn't want to do that. He never should have done that. The character developed lycanthropy. He's a were-jaguar, and he transformed and started killing people that were friends for him. They were only acquaintances, but for him, they were family and friends. And so now he's kind of conflicted of, I did this. On the other hand, he's like, but it's kind of cool the fact that I can do that.
Yeah.
So we have characters to grow is another kind of point I was thinking on. Do you have anything else to say on what we were just saying? Cut you off there.
No, not really.
Good. I knew that's why I cut you off. Characters to grow. I like to come up with what I think are funny or hilarious character ideas, and then I get really mad that they're one-dimensional, and I try to bring them out into something else, and get somebody else to enjoy whatever it is that character wants to do. So part of it is I'll make NPCs that I can play out. In this channel, I really like Rusty Plucker. He was a one-off, throwaway kind of guy, but the way the story went, he started like, oh, I like this more and more. And now I want to put some backstory to him. I want to put some insight into him. I want to have him do things. I want him to go out and have adventures.
Yeah. And the more I annoyed the player characters, the more fun that idea became.
Yes. I've sang to our coworkers at work and just grated on nerves. It turns out most people want you to rhyme in songs.
What a one-dimensional way to look at it.
I'm sure I'm breaking some social moray there, but I don't care.
And that's the beauty of role-playing. You can do those things. You can...
Yes. Nobody can stop me now.
I do that too. Like I create a character. I'll come up with an idea, and it'll be something like I want him to be this type of fighter. So I build the character around that. But then I start to be like, well, this is kind of one-dimensional, and I usually end up. That's where parts of me start coming out in the character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you start kind of putting yourself into it a little bit more, just to make it more rounded. And before you know it, you're like, damn it, I made myself again.
Yeah. We had one night in your campaign that everybody kept saying something. Whatever they would say would be a lead into a song. And so my character just started saying the song lyrics that fit in with it. And like we were playing for like 4 hours before somebody goes, isn't that a lyric to a song? And I had been dropping dozens of songs, and they weren't just obscure ones. I was making Queen references. I was making all sorts of stuff. It was pretty funny. It hurt that nobody got the reference. And then some monster said, that was a pun. I don't even think you realized that phrase had two meanings.
Oh, yeah. I remember that night. I was catching on. I just wasn't going to encourage you.
Oh, I'm sure you were. That's the problem with having two GMs in the same game. Like, even though I'm a player or you're the player, and I'm like, we catch each other really quick.
Be like, oh, I see where he's going with this.
Yeah, I was really hoping John would be on this morning. I wanted to pick his brain about him starting to DM the two of us. I think that would be fun.
Oh, yeah.
He would hate us, hate himself, and he wouldn't be able to stop.
He was hating himself enough last night.
Yes.
Why did I take this job?
I told him it was nice to watch him do physical labor for a change and actually work. Said I hadn't seen him work in months. Yeah, no, I like to watch characters. I like to get my players' characters to grow too. I like to see if they have something that they started as a joke or it was a one-off comment or whatever it is. I want to see that kind of role play out. I want to see it grow just a little bit. What does that blossom into?
Yeah.
What situations as a GM can I put you in that gives you the opportunity to say something, to do something, to expand?
Yeah. I like taking down notes of things that people say offhand and then finding a way to work it into the story where it becomes
Yeah,
more real and kind of throws it back in their face.
I like to take the things they say literally and apply it to the game instantly. Yeah, no, that's fun. I'm trying to remember what somebody said on Wednesday night that they said something literally, and I'm like, yep, that's what's happening now. I hope you're happy with yourselves.
I can't remember. It's funny because you have all these good times and you're like, oh, I'm going to remember that for next time. And then, like, 2 hours later, you're like, wait, what was that? Did I write it down? Which notebook was that in?
Yeah, I know. I keep leaving my notebooks at home, and then I have to start a new one. I need to compile them and just,
That's why I love that Rocket book.
yeah,
Because I write a bunch of crap, but I only keep the stuff that's actually worth it. It's like, man, that's garbage. What was I thinking there? Oh, this one. I need to keep this one. Because otherwise, I lose notebooks. I take notes in like 7 different notebooks that are scattered about my house.
I have them. They're like, there's just stacks of them, and they're growing. That's not even all of them. That's just some.
Those are just the ones within reach.
Yeah, yeah,
But like then I'm like, crap, where did when it comes up and I'm either getting ready for a game or in a game, like, where did I write that down? I'm flipping through different notebooks, like, no, not that one, not that one. I've also got taken to just I have a sticky note app on my computer.
oh
And
yeah,
that's better for me because I can't lose that. I can't misplace it.
yeah. I like. It's dumb, but I like using the old notebook or whatever it's called, notepad,
Yeah.
because I can open up a bunch of tabs, and even though I save them separately, I'll open a whole bunch all at once.
Because you don't know where you saved the what you're looking for.
No, because I'll have a bunch of different things, and I can just flip between them as I want to see what we're doing. Like I have 3 of them open right now that I'm flipping between for notes for this. So if you see me looking all around, I'm literally just flipping through my notepad, looking at different notes that I've taken, just refreshing my memory and keeping it all in order. And even though like it'll be like 3 different tiles or tabs on it, is just complete chaos. I was giving you a couple prompts earlier this week for some AI generation, and that's on one of them, and it is just like the biggest gobbledygook of word diarrhea I've ever seen.
I think it's funny because you had this, nice descriptive paragraph to try and get the image that you wanted, and I just shortened it down to Cthulian cat waiting for belly rubs,
Yes,
and it finally kicked out what we wanted. I put your
yes,
prompt in, I re-edited it. If it just wasn't coming out,
yeah.
like the simplest prompt was like, "Oh, here you go." I'm like, genius. There it is.
It's Occam's razor. Like it does apply. It really does. If you keep the more you complicate something, the harder it gets. I think that's actually an issue with like role playing game puzzles. You know, because everybody's like, "Ooh, you have to do X, you have to do Y." Like you gave us a simple puzzle to do, and all I had to do was push one letter, and it would have been right. And we're like, "No, it couldn't be simple. It's got to be the round peg through the square hole. We just have to make this work."
Yeah, that was a close call too.
Yes, yes.
It was funny because I'm like, crap, they're just gonna sit here and press every button and take the little bit of damage and heal and just keep trying. All right, let's up the ante. And then you guys were like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was getting pretty dangerous there. uh, yeah. One thing I also like to do with characters is I like to bring out ideas. Whether it's I want to make a druid who hates trees, or what would happen if you find a bag of holding that isn't just a bag of holding. It does something else. There's more to it. I kind of want to see what happens with that.
That druid that hates trees reminds me of a character from a podcast called Hello from the Magic Tavern. I haven't listened to that in a while, but there's a character on there, Danielle Quinflarvin, who's an elf that hates trees. So he goes around just kicking trees. He's one of the strongest kickers in the world now because he thought a tree killed his father.
Nice. That's actually how my character started. And it's not even a character. It's an idea that I had for a character where a tree, lightning hit it, and the tree fell and killed his parents. And now he's just like, I hate trees. He became a druid so he could talk to plants, so he could tell trees that he hates them. Like that was the whole character. He's very one-dimensional.
Why'd you become a druid? So I could curse at trees.
Right. Every day I use this one spell slot once a day to tell trees that they can kiss off. I'm done with you, trees. You know what you did. Yeah, so I like to come up with dumb character ideas. Sometimes I make them. Sometimes I get mad that you won't kill my character so I can bring one of the other ideas in. I don't want him to die. What I need is like 10 more campaigns to play in.
Because we got the time for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking about quitting my job because this is quite lucrative.
Yeah, the whole negative sign in front of our books.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't really...
Baby, how do you feel about 6 zeros? There's a negative sign, but there's 6
all
zeros.
written in red.
Chasing them commas. It's the size of the number, not the direction it's going. I'll still argue impressive is impressive. But yeah, no, I like to have new ideas, and I want to see what happens with them. How do they come to fruition? What do they do in a story? What do they do in a different situation? One thing we've kind of talked about is changing this from a talking head podcast every other week to, kind of a Tales from the Tipsy Tavern, role-playing out different NPCs. So we don't have a story, but you're just kind of playing character ideas, seeing what happens.
Yeah, I really like that idea.
If we can get, at least 3 of us together and playing out more than one character each in the Tipsy Tavern and see what happens. Bouncing between bad accents and crappy ideas.
Ridiculous backstories.
Yes.
I think one night... Go ahead. Well, one night, me and you were talking about NPCs or something, and we came up with an idea of a guy who was trying to sell honey, but he was crazy, and he was really just going around selling jars of his own feces.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to convince people. Dumbest idea in the world, but we probably spent like a half hour, 45 minutes laughing at each other at that.
Essentially, he's a bee. I made this honey.
This is homemade honey.
Homegrown.
Turns out to be one of the best fertilizers in the land, and he's sought after.
One of the ones we talked about was making a character, an NPC that is based on the worst player characters. And for me, in my head, it popped up of the joke where it's like, well, how do we convince the shop owner to sell at a discount? I cast Fireball. What do we do with the goblins? I cast Fireball. What do we do to get through this door? I cast Fireball. So as a character who, he's like, yeah, I go around adventuring. I cast Fireball. And it's just how he explains everything. That's his highlight of his own personality that he gives people is, I cast Fireball. Oh.
Look, I'm only good at one thing, and that thing is Fireball.
Right? And then as we joked around about it, I put in that he was out to avenge his master, and he had to find his modifier because he needs to add his modifier. That's what his master said as he died. He's like, add your modifiers. Where's your modifiers?
Oh, yeah.
And now he's going to find the mountain of character sheet so he can find his modifiers and maybe bring his master back. But he casts fireball. It's what he does.
Yeah. No, even sitting here right now, like we're not even role playing, but talking about it. I don't know.
It's fun. It's
I feel lighter than I did before I even got on.
yeah. No, it is cathartic. It's good. It's just something to get out from everything else. There's actually a psychological background for that, where if there are things in our lives that we can't control, you have to ascribe fault to something, even if it's made up or ridiculous. And the same thing goes for when we have things that we have to do. We have to be able, like, I might not be able to get to it, but I can do this. And this is an accomplishment. It's gratifying.
Yeah,
Just
and that's
finding stupid benchmarks to put your name onto. Like, I did all of this, and it's 10 hours of building a world that nobody else will ever see. And I got bored of already and want a new story.
yeah. And honestly, that I don't think a lot of people look at it this way. Some they're just like, oh, it's just a game. I do it for fun. But really, if you think about it, this is all just like a form of therapy.
Oh yeah,
Like you're getting things out that you normally wouldn't be able to get out, and it might not be in the way that seems like it's helpful, but it really is. Like I found that when my mental health is declining, I stopped doing all sorts of things for myself. I'm not cleaning as much as I should. I'm not taking care of my responsibilities. And role playing this time was like the catalyst that got me to say, okay, I need to do at least 2 things a day that are good for me.
mm-hmm.
And it's just like about baby steps and whatnot. Like just get started doing something and everything else starts to fall into place. Maybe not instantly, but it just starts getting a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And even if those things are things that nobody will ever see or recognize, so you're not doing it for recognition, you're doing it for you. And recognizing it in yourself.
Yeah, no, I hit that probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was working the same job for 10 years straight. I liked the job, the work, I enjoyed it. Uh, but like, I worked for a paycheck. I didn't do anything for me. I worked,
Mm-hmm.
I made money, I paid my bills, and then it got to a point where my wife is like, "Why do we have 5 Amazon packages?" And I'm like, "Oh, those are mine." And I come back wearing like a nice robe, slippers. I have a new pillow. Like, I'm like, you know what? I had to do this for me. I deserve something. I need something. It doesn't have to be like expensive. I don't. My family doesn't need to be sacrificed for fun or for personal gratification. But that doesn't mean I don't need it. I told her yesterday there was a game I found that I wanted to buy. It's a tabletop game. It was like $20. And budgeting is tight, but it's like I work kind of hard. I don't want a lot. I don't need a lot, but I would like this one thing. And I think you're right. This is where role playing kind of comes in, where I've earned this reprieve. I earned this nice thing. I can have good characters. I can have good discussions.
It's funny because I was like, well, I'm going to start role playing again because it's not expensive. And then I went out and bought like 8 books, and I'm like, crap, that is expensive. Like,
Yes, yes. And then you start paying for different services like StreamYard or Incarnate or Mid Journey, and it's like, oh, my free hobby just got expensive.
still
I want a
cheaper than
3D printer
therapy.
so I can, yeah, that's true. We need to become therapists who people pay to play D&D.
That's a thing now. That
I know.
that's awesome, but at the same time, like I could have been doing that this whole time.
I'm basically a doctor.
I'm just starting to tell people that. What's it like being a DM? Basically, I'm a doctor. I'm a
I
therapist.
cure people of boredom, sadness, But then again, I also like to make my players feel emotions, including sadness and remorse.
Oh yeah.
Uh, it's something that's interesting that we stopped doing as kids in a modern society where we role play out. Little kids pretend to be parents. They pretend to be doctors, scientists, astronauts. They
Yeah.
try to role play out what is it like to run a grocery store, and it's a dumb thing looking back as adults, but as a kid, it helps you work through whatever. I don't understand. It, going through college and stuff, some of the things I learned was how to identify your own biases. And one bias I found is short people. I have no idea what it's like to be short. It's been so long since I was short. I can't even imagine not being able to reach the top shelf of a cupboard or the
That's
ceiling.
why you got Aaron.
Yes, I'm, I'm role playing out the character Shamael. He's my guinea pig of what's it like to look at the world from the bottom up. We'll see if he watches this. He's watched some of these episodes. We'll see if he watches this one.
It's funny because you took a short guy and you're like, here's this character that's also short.
Yes.
Forget your fantasies of living out a different guy. I want to know your perspective.
I didn't realize he hadn't played D&D or anything before. The way he talked, and I'm like, you want to play? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. He's played before. I'm like, what do you want to be? He's like, I want to be a Dragonborn cleric. I'm like, cool. All right, roll it up. He's like, roll what up? And I'm like, oh, you've never played. He's like, no, what do I do? And I'm like, I don't have time to walk you through it. Like I will make you a character. Tell me what you want as input. He did. He wanted to be a Dragonborn. Well, we already had a Dragonborn cleric, so I didn't want to copycat. So instead of going tall, we went short. And I think he makes character-wise a much more verbose character because it's something other than everybody else is tall in this party. It adds something to him. Of course, he's mad because he's short as a player, and he's like, I wanted to not be short.
But it's fun too because it makes no end of we make no end of jokes at his expense. Like,
yes.
So he's new to D&D, so Jeremy will be like, and you see some bugbears in this room, and so I'll usually try to find some art and put it up on the screen so Aaron knows what we're fighting.
Yeah.
And the last time I cropped it down, so it was just from the waist down. I'm like, this is what you see.
And it's kind of funny because one, he does forget to add his modifiers. It's not something you pay attention to. Although I think now if he's using D&D Beyond, that'll help him add his modifiers in a lot easier. It'll be nicer with that. But he role plays it well. He rolls out really bad perception 99% of the time. And so he goes, well, I guess it just makes sense. All I can see is grass and ass.
Yeah. You'd think being that close to the ground, he'd see more of the holes before he walks into them.
Yeah. What I think we're going to have to do is put you guys in a landscape where it's a bunch of trees and shrubbery. So at chest height and higher, you can't see anything. But at the bottom, you can see under all the trees.
Yeah. Shammy, what do you see? Everything for once.
Guys, it's a whole world out here. Put you in a water adventure so you can just look underneath it. One of you guys holds him down, the other one gives him a breathing tube.
That'd be funny. Dragonborn can't swim, they just sink. They're too dense.
He is half dwarf, so I don't know how that's going to come up in the storyline, but
yeah,
that's why he's short.
Oh, what a long night.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, just look at what we're doing here now. This is great. We have ideas that we're coming up with here that I'm like, man, I have to take notes of these. This is something that's definitely going to happen. a lot of times when we sit and talk with the players, they'll start making comments, and I have pages of notes scribbled down. And it's little notes for the game, like, oh, this is happening, oh, that happened, oh, they use this name, and then I'll be like, add in testosterone fueled mice, and then circle it so I know that's an important note. Or like John pointed out 2 weeks ago that he's essentially helping two DMs murder their team. It's like, yeah, no, give us more ideas. Let's kill them. They deserve this.
Yeah, that's funny. He's like, that was an eye opener. Like, oh God, these guys are gonna kill us all.
And it almost happened. It almost happened on Wednesday. He was the only one that wasn't taking damage. And it was disgusting how little damage he took with what was happening. But he's also the spellcaster, so he kind of stood back.
He took some damage.
Not much. Not compared to the rest of the team.
That's true. Well, there was only one other person in the team, so...
That's true, too. Well, no, I mean Wednesday
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, because he plays a red dragonborn, and they were hit with a fireball. And then a red dragon used its breath weapon twice. Everybody else is like, well, we're almost dead. He's like, was that a breeze? I'm going to take a quarter damage.
Did it get a little bit warmer in here?
Yeah. He saved on his dex roll and then took half his resistances. Which just makes me think that I'm going to have to do like an ice nova next time.
Some ice wraiths.
Ooh, I like that. Banshees with some sort of chilling touch. Slimes that pull the heat out of a room. And a person. I gotta write that one down. John, if you're watching this, don't. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
No. I like something else that... Because before it was like, when I was role-playing, it was just like the same group of friends. 3 of us had been friends since like 3rd grade, and then a couple newer friends joined in, but it was like people I already know. But this time around, like me and you, we didn't really know each other when we first started talking about D&D. No. Now you're like one of my best friends because we talk all the time. But like, I probably would have never got to know John.
Yeah.
He works in a completely different department, and then he's a really nice guy, but he's not stuck up, but he's a reserved person. He doesn't seem to talk to outside people much unless he has to. So we probably would have never got to know each other. Same with Johnny.
Yeah.
Thornfoot, like he's a nice guy, but the moment he found out that I played D&D too, he just opened up. Like,
yes, yeah, it was like I know we've talked about it before, but like when we started working, well, we play Dungeons and Dragons. All of a sudden, half the room was like, "Really? Can we get in on it? We want to play. We haven't played in forever. We've never played. I always want to get into it." We've got at least one more coworker who's like, "Well, my cousin said I should play it. Actually, it sounds kind of interesting."
Yeah, he's actually going to be joining us on our next session.
Good. If you weren't stealing him, I was going to steal him. And then when I told him that, he goes, well, who has time to do all this stuff?
Nobody, but we make time.
Yeah, you make it happen. It's only 5 to 12 hours a week per game.
And that's just for the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was asking me, he's like, so how does it work? Like, what's your end of it? I'm like, I could try to explain it to you, but you're not going to get it till you do it.
Yes.
Like, basically, I write a story, I build a world, or I don't even write the story. I build a world, and then I let you guys write the story in it. It's like, what's that mean? I'm like, because he plays World of Warcraft. I'm like, you can go anywhere and do anything, and it doesn't matter where you go. I'm going to find a quest to put you on or something for your characters to do. And then basically how you guys do it and how you decide to take care of it writes the story.
Yeah.
Then he was like, that really does sound up my alley.
Yep.
I'm like, if it wasn't for D&D, World of Warcraft probably wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. We need more people playing on this campaign. We'll get them. 2 to 3 isn't enough. Especially if we plan to start killing some of them off. Coincidentally, not intentionally.
No, nothing's intentional.
I was just thinking about it. It's funny because I wrote NPCs specifically to keep them from dying, and we decided to call ourselves TPK Factory. And like, it's like, wait, how can we kill them if we're trying to save them? Like, I'm gonna end up like a robot in an infinite loop. You have to kill them, but also I have to save them so I can kill them, so I can save them.
Well, you try to save them, and I'll just keep trying to kill them.
No, I think we'll both just keep trying to kill them. I'll kill them morally. You kill them physically.
I'll kill their hopes and dreams, and you take care of the.
Yes. And that's kind of the GM's job, you know. It's you know, like Wednesday night, the one character, he was just gonna be a badass. He's like, I'm gonna kick in this door, and I'm gonna rock their world. And he didn't realize that the door was booby trapped with thunderwave runes, and it just blew back on him and knocked everybody down. And 2 of you were deafened. It's like, yeah, you looked really cool until it backfired.
And then the rest of the night, we're like, everybody checks the doors, and then we're like, all right, Stelro, you open it while we hide behind each other over here in the corner.
I also saw you guys go, you go ahead and look. We'll just wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
No. You know, it's good, too, because he's a young player, and he's playing a young character, and it works really well together.
Yeah.
This basically writes itself.
It's funny because I was looking at my character sheet, and my character kind of acts like, you know, the mother of the group or whatever, and I'm like, damn, he's only 19. I should be playing this a little bit differently. Like,
well, and he's a turtle. Turtles have no real concept of parent. Like, you get a concept like, yeah, there's a mother and a father. This is how babies are made and whatever, but you don't get mothers and fathers. Like, not realistically.
Yeah. I think it's like a year or 2 before they pass away after they've mated.
Yeah. So, you know, one thing I wanted to give you is you're acting as the mother, and through a critical success failure generation, you had a critical success. You earned, actually, an animal companion. And so I wanted to give your character an animal that plays on that. You're a mother. You don't understand what that means. Or, you know, you're mothering, but you don't realize that's what a mother is. And so I kind of want to see what Gora does with this, because...
Man, I'm having a hard time naming it. He's a mom. Yeah. I'm a duck mom now.
Right.
It was funny because I went to add it to my character sheet, and it's like, I don't even know what animal this is.
Nope.
So I just made a note, waterfowl-ish.
Yep. That's all I've let you know. I had to go find special stats for this.
I was really hoping for the goose hydra.
No. Animal companion, I mean, it's kind of rough because most of the time you have to be a druid or a ranger to get an animal companion, so you really have no skills with animals. So as the GM now, I'm like, how do you make that work for your player? How can I add that in? How can I give an element for you to actually utilize this? Or are you just bonding with this animal so much you've developed an innate ability to read what it wants, or it understands you?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it falls out too.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm looking at my character sheet, like, do I even have oh, I do have a little bit of animal handling.
Yeah. It's gonna be like the
I think it's just my wisdom bonus though.
Ooh. The episode of Samurai Jack where he has to protect a baby and he takes it with him, and it's just a baby the whole time he's fighting everybody. And then, it gets to the end, he gives the baby back to the parents, and they just start freaking out because now it has like the angry war face like he does. It's just like, they're angry now. I have war face. This is going to be you mothering is like, I'm protecting you. And Dad's like, yeah, this is how we protect things. I'm the wild waterfowl that's going to protect everybody. What I'm looking for.
A waterfowl with Sentinel.
When you find out what it is, getting some AI art generated for armored waterfowl.
Ducks wearing armor.
Yeah, waterfowl strapped to the nines. AI just gives you like a picture of like a duck and some nines that it's tied to. Is this what you wanted? It's like the guy with the butterfly. Is this strapped to the nines? I don't understand.
Now I want to put a prompt in.
Yes. That's okay. I need you guys to play more often so I can progress the story, so I don't just know what. Like I said, I tell my coworkers that don't play, that understand. The one likes to watch other people play. He doesn't like to play himself. He just rather see your stories. And so all night long I tell him this stuff, and then we'll eventually get to it. And I'll be like, they finally got to the room with the little dragon and all the kobolds. And he's like, how did it go? I'm like, they murdered everyone. It was fantastic.
Oh, let's see what it comes in. Oh.
Is it not very impressive?
It's not exactly what I expected so far. It's not finished rendering, but...
Oh, well.
I
Not
think the
what
top
I was
right...
expecting, but I don't know why I wouldn't have expected this.
Yeah, I think the top right one's the closest thing to what I was expecting, like an actual duck sized and not like duck people.
I like that.
It's funny because his belly here kind of looks like a cooked turkey. Where's all your feathers, bud?
I lost them in battle. Fire dragon.
Some guy that just kept saying fireball.
Yes, fireball. Look, I kind of want to take those pictures and make characters now. Like, I'm an Aarakocra duck. I'm a hardened paladin. Or a Kenku. I'm a Kenku duck paladin.
Oh.
When I was young, my mother kicked me out of the tree. I couldn't fly, so I learned how to fight.
I started off on squirrels. They had the numbers, but I was persevering.
I fought my own family, and now I'm hunting my family's killer, which was me.
I'm hunting ways to kill myself.
Now he just keeps... There he is! It's every time he sees his reflection, he freaks out like a bird, like flying into the window.
He really has problems with mirrors. Little they know, every time he's killing himself.
Every time, like, he breaks the mirror and just goes, oh, he got away again. I'll get that bastard.
I'll get you one day.
Thank you.
Great, there's going to be another character on my Beyond.
I can roll it up on paper.
Either way. I just like giving you guys crap. I kill one character and all of a sudden there's 37 backup characters.
Yeah. That was interesting with this campaign. Is everybody goes, oh, we're going to have to make up backup characters. And I don't think anybody has.
I haven't.
I believe we told him as homework is like, hey, you might want to make, for every character that you play, you need 2 backups. And we're just going to play it like a Hydra. Like every time one dies, everybody makes 2 backups. We just start shuffling them in.
It's funny because like I plan on going hardcore, but I figured we should get at least a couple episodes in before people start dying. But we'll see what the next one brings.
And now I need to text Convict's player and be like, hey, you need to DM a campaign because I need to play a duck Kenku.
Oh, is he's the one talking about running, Connor?
He is not. I want to convince him to because I think it'd be fun to have him be the GM and still have him completely flustered by us, but now we're the players.
What if there's a squirrel race? Squirrel people.
There is if you decide to make it one.
I know.
I've got a couple things that I've done like that where it's like, oh, this doesn't exist, but it does now. Even if it's not a playable race, it's a monster species. It's a whatever.
Scurrian. The Scurrian are very easily spottable race. They resemble humanoid squirrel-like beings that have either bright orange, shimmery gray, or glossy black coats.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the D&D wiki. Oh, he's got a little eye patch.
I like how we're just selling ourselves more on this.
Like we've already got our. Like you need to run because I've already made a character for your game. Where'd I go? I'm lost. I've lost myself. Look at that little guy. He just rides around on the duck all day like he's a steed.
You know, you could easily take him and just give him most of the quickling stats. That'd be a pretty easy board. You might have to fight him when you come across the Squirrel King.
That'd be awesome.
It's just a whole army of those guys.
No, they even got different. The red Scurrian, the gray Scurrian, the black Scurrian.
That's actually due to the Scurian is actually their scientific family.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Arboreal nucavores. Call them nucavores. The tree living nut eaters.
All right, I don't like that description.
I love stuff like that. The Discord I started for your Wednesday night campaign is titled, where is it here? Qui Mirantur. It's Latin for those who are surprised.
That's John.
Because that's literally like your campaign. Like, we go inside this really obvious room. Inside, you find a surprise. We're surprised every single time. There's a trap. Nope, I'm surprised there's not a trap. There's not a trap. I'm surprised. Here's a trap. Wow, there was a trap. I knew it was a trap.
Just all startled gasps all the time.
It really is. And for those of you watching, the two of the players on that campaign are brothers, and you can hear the familial shock.
Yeah. And you can tell they're brothers. The ones, they're always fucking with each other.
It's pretty good. I didn't realize this stream would be able to go this long. I'm kind of glad it did.
Yeah. Luckily, our ADD stretched it out.
It really did. It really did. We need more people. We need to bring just guests in for not playing, but just for talking on these. So we can just lambast more people. Yeah, no, like why do we role play? Like, there's a lot of reasons here. I think we brought some good stuff. One, I never would have thought about making squirrel people had we not had this conversation. At least not organically. You know, I never wanted to play a duck Kenku paladin until now. Play him really short too.
Try to gain a new perspective.
Yeah. I don't understand it. That's going to be his phrase.
That's the thing. He's going to imagine himself as one of those humanoid ducks, but he's just going to be a normal duck.
Yes.
He's got like a couple tin can lids just strapped to him.
Yeah. I like it.
Gotta make him a goose because cobra chickens are scary.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think ducks are more noble. Like, he's a paladin. Like, that'll be as tilting at windmills as going after geese. Like, any one of them could be a hydra, and he can't risk that. Like, when my mother kicked me out of the nest, she was, you know, subsequently murdered by a goose hydra, and now I quest the world to kill this goose hydra, protecting all the innocent fledglings kicked from their nests. As we say this, the bird noises get louder. Yeah, no, this is definitely how it goes. If nobody's ever played D&D before, this is how most of the time it happens. Is you just start, oh yeah.
Someone has a ridiculous idea, and then everybody builds on it.
Yes. We should do a campaign like that someday where everybody gets together and be like, you know what would be cool? And then we just take all those ideas and be like, congratulations, you're now in the world that you created, you idiots.
That would be so random.
Yes. I think it'd be really cool if there's no nobility, just liches, and then everybody's in fear of the liches, and so they become liches to fight the liches. It does prevent, you know, progeniting the cycle yet again.
So the liches are just farming regular people in order to...
Yes.
Like, welcome to the Matrix Lich Edition.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it's been fun talking, but
Yes.
I'm running on E here.
We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Alex, thank you for being here. You know, I think the nice website that gave us the copyright-free sound backgrounds. Midjourney for giving us our background for art. Some of the what else do we use for AI? ChatGPT for giving us a bunch of story ideas.
For helping with writer's block.
Yeah, Alex, last time we were talking, I cut you off on our stream before you could finish, and you were thanking somebody I hadn't thought.
Well, we didn't end up like being able to broadcast the map, but I was thinking Ballywiki.
Okay.
Genius at map makers and making assets for maps, and Forgotten Adventures. You should check out their Patreon if you play, you know, any role playing, because it's gonna help you make maps better, get better tokens. They're just great.
Yeah, no, it helps us a lot. Ooh, I'm going down too. All hands abandoned ship. All right, we'll catch you guys in another week. Or if you're smart and you just keep watching these back to back to back, we'll catch you in a few minutes as you start up a new one.
Yep.
See you later.
Later, guys. Oh.